Hello everyone, my name is Dustin Stambaugh and this is a presentation on what is justice and equity from a city administrator's perspective. I hope you enjoy. Abraham Lincoln once said, "Sir, my concern is not whether God is on our side. My greatest concern is to be on God's side, for God is always right." When Abraham Lincoln spoke these words, he witnessed one of the biggest bloodbaths in American history. Americans were fighting themselves over sins such as slavery. The point that he was making is that there is an innate sense of right and wrong. And what we were doing as a country was wrong, but he didn't want to see the country split apart. That is essentially the summation of the purpose of this presentation, which is to explore and come up with a framework that public administrators can use to apply ethical principles and make good decisions that benefit their constituents as well as the society they belong to. The format of this presentation is going to be, we're going to start by examining authors, including John Rawls, Raymond Niebuhr, and Dennis P. Hollinger, and the Bible. Then we are going to examine a case study of ethical decision making with public administrators, and then we are going to conclude with what we have learned after this exploration, and hopefully public administrators will leave this presentation with a tool in their tool bag to become better. The first scholar that we're going to examine is John Rawls, who lived from 1921 to 2002. And his primary contribution to the ethical discussion would be his theory titled Justice is Fairness. Justice is Fairness is based on two principles, the difference principle as well as the principle of equality. The difference principle stipulates that social and economic inequalities are sometimes permissible, in contrast to inequalities of basic rights and duties, which are forbidden. The equality principle essentially stipulates that the same set of basic rights and duties must be given equally to every member of society. And when you apply this, his primary mechanism he proposed for enforcing this would be the government. And with the government applying that for these principles, equality would have to be the primary value, displacing love. And then the second primary mechanism for a government to do this is through pluralism, which stipulates all that religion, ethnicity, and everything else becomes secondary, that they don't matter, that each individual has their own perspective, and that they should all be respected by the government, and the government should be neutral. The next author on this journey will be Raymond Niebuhr, who lived from 1892 to 1971. And he really, during the course of his work, tried to focus on reality, just like our previous author, John Rawls, did. For example, some of his observations include religion is a natural counterbalance to a society based on selfish behavior or sin. He also pointed out that the history of religion is proof that religious insights make men conscious of their internal sinful nature. So he definitely did not advocate for secularism like John Rawls did. He also observed that special rewards for certain social services lead to natural injustice because the rewards create a privileged and egomaniacal class, which is kind of one of the underpinnings behind moral hazard that a lot of people point out now. He also argued that violence is not a natural response to societal challenges, so he definitely was an admirer of gentlemen like Gandhi at his time. He also pointed out that humans learn their best lessons through life's struggles, so he also acknowledged the reality that we learn more from our mistakes than we do our successes. John P. Hollinger is quick to remind us as Christians that the subject of ethics for a Christian is complex because it's not like moral relativism where we just respect the beliefs of the individual, who are different than us. The Christian believes that we have a universal truth, and that universal truth is expressed in the Bible, and that there is a central ethic and set of beliefs that we should follow. That's not always the case in other areas of ethics. Um, so that's important when we go into this. So the first, Dennis P. Hellinger points out there are two types of ethicists. There's ones who base their analysis of a belief system on the results, i.e. the consequences. And then there's the Christian approach, which is the focus on what is someone's individual principles. And principles is nothing more than their internal belief system, which is expressed in their decisions. In essence, their character. Their character is the word that describes someone's whole being, from their internal dialogue and value system to the outward expression of that value system in their decisions. By extension of the character ethic, we go on to how a Christian defines justice. And Dennis P. Hellinger defines justice into two camps: retributive justice and distributive justice. Retributive justice is what a person is due when that person has perpetrated wrong. Judicial punishment, for example. Some examples of the current debates in retributive justice within American culture includes: is capital punishment a just response to murder? Should judges have the ability to demand payment of fathers to support their offspring? And is mental insanity a reason to avoid regular punishment for a crime? What we focus on right now is distributive justice, which means the rewards, rights, opportunities, services, and treatments due a person, including what they have done, what group they belong to, and who they are. This includes items such as goods and services offered, education opportunities, healthcare, employers, and protective services. And the reason why we're focusing on distributive justice, because as public administrators, that we make decisions which very much focuses on distributive justice. Dennis P. Hellinger does propose a biblical theory of justice, which involves three main points. All 3 points focus on the individual character ethic. The first one is justice is associated with fairness and integrity. And this is supported by verses such as Leviticus chapter 19, verse 15, that says, do not perverse justice, do not show partiality to the poor, favoritism to the great, but judge your neighbor fairly. Number 2, justice is righteous living in all areas. Isaiah 1, verse 16 to 17 states, wash and make yourselves clean, take your evil deeds out of my sight, stop doing wrong, learn to do right, seek justice, defend the oppressed, take up the cause of the fatherless, and plead the case of the widow. And number 3, justice is concerned with the plight of the oppressed, poor, and those who lack the means for self-sufficiency. In Proverbs chapter 19, verse 17 states, whoever is kind to the poor lends to the Lord, and he will reward them for what they have done. All 3 of these involve the individual character ethic, and all 3 of these involve being good public administrators by being aware of the poor and the destitute and those who have trouble accessing resources to the people, and we should be applying this to the people we serve. The heart and soul of the Christian ethic is that love supersedes all else, because love is God. Emil Brunner obviously doesn't agree. Emil believed that love and justice are separate. For example, they believe that in a world of institutions, the institution of the state is incapable of love because it's inanimate. Reinhold Niebuhr acknowledges, like we said earlier, the issues that humans have without the guidance of religion, but he also thinks love and justice are separate. He states the sinfulness of humanity and historical forces render love a dream. When you look at the Bible, like Hosea 10:12, it states, sow righteousness for yourself, reap the fruit of unfailing love, and break up your unplowed ground, for it is time to seek the Lord until he comes and showers his righteousness on you. Um, Also, the Christian argument is that love and justice is inseparable. Dennis P. Hollinger writes that justice is sensitive to past wrongs and seeks to overcome them, addressing issues of institutional racism, but such justice may not improve actual relations among the various races or ethnic groups. Love calls for personal engagement among the groups so that justice and prejudices are overcome and reconciliation occurs. Marissa Kelly from the University of Kansas did a study on decision making by administrators. She focused on two bureaucracies. One, the school teachers of Oakland Public Schools out of California, and the other is the California Employment Development Department. In the school district, the teachers were expected to have think for themselves, to have problem-solving capacity, and to assist students in helping them achieve success within the school system. When it came to musical instruments, they had a shortage of instruments, so they tried to achieve fairness the best way they could, draw straws, draw names out of the hat, etc. Whereas in terms of grading, teachers would not focus on the straight A students and would focus a lot of their resources on the students who weren't doing well and rewarded more mercy on those people not doing well than those that did to help them be successful. In the California Employment Development Department, whether you're talking about the unemployment insurance program or the job service program, both sets of staff members did not have autonomy and therefore did not really apply problem solving ability when dealing with customers, and therefore the customer service and the practice of ethical decision making was extremely reduced. So what have we learned through this exploration? We have learned that individual morality is paramount to ethical behavior. This is especially applicable when stressful situations happen. Our fight or flight system is initiated, and by that point, we're on autopilot. So the work we do in our off time is what helps us be ethical individuals when the moment matters. And in order to do that, we have to put love as the top of our value system because love is God. God is love, and that is expressed through the Bible and all of the concepts inherent in it. So therefore, we must internalize it. As public servants, we are responsible for making decisions that affect other people's lives. Therefore, it's not just about learning about it. It's about we need to be aware of what our current internal values are. And if we aren't already, we need to start gearing them towards ethical behavior that is in line with Christ. That is our obligation not only to Christ himself by honoring him, but also to our constituents and our elected officials. I will close with this. No temptation has overtaken you except what is common to mankind. And God is faithful. He will not let you be tempted beyond what you can bear. But when you are tempted, he will also provide a way out so that you can endure it. 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 13. I hope you'll enjoy this presentation and got something out of it. Have a great day.